Welcome back to another episode of STEM and Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales, and today I have a return guest with me, Toni Rebic, an alignment psychologist, and we are going to discuss Align to Achieve, how emotional alignment unlocks your confidence and success. So if you have walked around feeling like, I wonder when they're going to discover that I don't quite belong here, or if you've had wonderful plans that you would love to be executing on, but something keeps preventing you from going down that road, the way that you know you ought to be doing, that you have planned to do, that you have practiced to do, but it just doesn't get there, you've arrived in the right place today, because a lot of this sort of thing comes from doing things that are in alignment, not just what the world tells you to do. So I would like to introduce our guest. Toni Rebic is an alignment psychologist and the creator of TrueSelf Psychology, an alignment-focused coaching psychology method that helps people reconnect to who they truly are. With over 2 decades, she has guided thousands of clients through emotional realignment, mind pattern reconditioning, and self-mastery so you can feel better, think clearer, and live from your core being. Using psychology, neuroscience-informed principles, and her proprietary alignment frameworks, Toni turns complex inner patterns into simple, practical insights to help people shift their thinking and create meaningful, lasting change. She's the host of the Feel Good Now podcast and the creator of programs such as Align in Power, Align to Manifest, and she's the co-author of Winning Strategies for Success, Succeeding in Business with Brian Tracy. Through her classes and alignment sessions, she teaches emotional awareness, self-aligning thought patterns, and the art of living centered in your core, helping you build self-confidence and self-esteem so you can achieve more of your goals. Her mission is to help people realign with their most authentic, empowered self to feel good about who they are and believe that they can reach their dreams. Welcome back to the show, Toni. I'm so excited to have you here with us today.
Hi again. Glad to be here, Zofia. Nice seeing you again.
I so much enjoy our conversations, and I love today's topic because a lot of times when you talk to psychology people, there's like this inference that you're somehow broken, and I don't think that is the case for the majority of people. A lot of the times, what's going on in your world is A, systemic and probably not something you can do something about, and B, subconscious, but not a broken thing. It's a thing that probably helped you at one point, but that isn't helping you now. And so I love that you support people in being successful and being truly who they are, as opposed to, well, you need to become more like this in order to succeed. And I don't like that.
Well, I think it's really important what you just said in terms of, I keep telling people nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken. You just have learned some ways of thinking that don't serve you, and you believe them, right? You learn to think that you're not good enough. You learn to think that maybe nobody likes being around you or that you cannot accomplish certain things. And so you keep telling you this message in your head, and it just feels believable. And because it feels believable, you feel broken. You feel like something's wrong. You feel like you can't do something. And that's actually what's stopping you from moving forward, because you can't move forward thinking in a way that doesn't serve the forward movement.
Yeah.
Right?
And the other thing that I know a little bit about psychology, not nearly what you do, but we tend to look for evidence of what we believe.
Mhm.
And so if you as a listener are sitting there going, yeah, but I can cite this thing that happened last week that's proof that nobody
Mhm.
likes me, or whatever the lesson that you've got playing in your head is, you probably are gathering that evidence over
Mhm.
other evidence that would prove other things.
Well, what's important in what you just said is that it's not that we intentionally do that, the brain does that. We are
Exactly.
wired to see what we already believe. So if you believe that you're not good enough, you will see proof of it. And that's what confirms the reality. That's what actually shapes reality. And this is why it's so important to make sure that your beliefs align with who you are and what you want, because many times they don't. Like I said, you've learned to think maybe you're not good enough for whatever reason. A seed was planted in your brain that you're not good enough, and then you keep reminding yourself of it, and then now you're starting to see proof of it. So that's technically the way the brain works. But if you understand that, then the opposite also works. If I convince myself, learn to believe that I am good enough, that I am, first of all, to discover who the I am is, be more yourself. Well, now I am going to see my better self in the world around me. I'm going to search for that proof that I am good enough. So it's not so much the belief itself, but understanding that beliefs confirm itself. So if I understand that, okay, so let me just work to make sure that I'm aiming for the beliefs that serve me and get rid of the ones that don't.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of like if you watch a magic trick, a magician stands up and he does this really cool illusion where like the dove appears in his hand after this puff of smoke sort of thing. It's really cool and you go, ooh. But if you gain the trust of said magician and you have him show you how that trick works,
Mhm.
it completely takes away that illusion, which in the
Exactly.
case of the magician, it takes away maybe some of the joy and the magic. But in the case of something like an I'm not good enough, you want that illusion to go away. And this is a great way that you can bust that illusion.
hmm
I love
And what's also interesting to understand is that when you feel bad because you have a belief that doesn't serve you, that feeling bad is not because something's wrong with you, not because that belief is truth about you, but because it doesn't serve you. So even the emotion is telling you that that thought, that belief, that idea is not serving you. We just tend to misunderstand what that emotion is telling us. So if you're not feeling good about something, that's a sign that whatever you're judging yourself for is not serving you. And notice that the minute you don't judge yourself, or the minute you question your beliefs, or the minute you start to believe you're good enough, all of a sudden those negative emotions go away. So it supports this idea, and we don't tend to notice that, which is really interesting. But when you think I feel bad because I have this negative belief, no, you feel bad because this negative belief doesn't help you, serve you, and is not true. That's what
Mm,
that emotion is there to tell you.
yeah, I like
Does
that.
that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
I love that reframing. And
yep.
I think it's nice and easy and obvious when it's something that makes you feel bad. For example, this, oh,
Yes.
nobody likes to be around me, say. But I think it gets a little more challenging when it doesn't feel bad necessarily, but it's not working the way you need it to. I'm talking about like maybe I set a goal to hit a certain sales target and it looks like I'm headed there, and then for some reason something goes on and I don't somehow follow through or do what it takes to continue to hit that goal. And I think that gets a little bit more puzzling. It's like this fear of success thing that maybe crops up that holds us back from going to that next level of performance.
Mhm. There could be many reasons why someone doesn't work well. Maybe is that the goal you really want? Sometimes
There's that,
sometimes
right?
I've had a client recently achieved his goal to realize that it didn't really interest him as much as he thought it would. Dream was better than once reaching there in the reality. So number one, is that goal really for you and you want it? Secondly, are you overextending yourself? In a sense that, I'm talking about in the interim. So you may
Right.
want a certain goal, but if you are expecting it in a certain due date, that may not be reasonable, because a lot of people also do that. You're going to criticize yourself for not achieving it. And here's what's really important for the audience to understand. When you criticize yourself or you're hard on yourself on while you're on the journey getting to a certain place, that will slow you down. That inner
Mm,
dialogue is actually what slows you down. So then it becomes hard to reach the goal. And then you're going to believe, again, confirming to myself that I may not be good enough, that the goal is not something I can reach. When it's really, you're getting so much in the way on your way there that you either slow down, you stop, and you're not aligned. And that's what alignment is. Your thoughts are not supporting you is the first alignment. The second one is now that I'm more centered and aligned, I need to align with what it is that I want. Does that make sense? And that's important because a lot of people I find when they're thinking about their goals, and we're coming to 2023, 2020, what year are we?
Yeah,
2026.
no, we're done with 2023, 2026.
2026. I'm trying to go back instead of forward. What happens is this is a time a lot of people are thinking about their goal. And I got to tell you, many of you probably have the same goals as last year, right?
Hmm.
Like you got to think about, look at your list. If you've accomplished some of them, many of them, great. But do you know the percentage of people who actually fulfill their list?
Yeah, it's like single digit percentages.
It's a single digit percentage. Some
Yeah.
research will say six, some will say eight. So that was very interesting to me. So I delved a lot into why is it that people don't achieve their goals and what makes people achieve what they want. And one of the things in being a psychologist, talking to so many people, I always feel like I have this front row center in people's lives. So I get to see the before, the middle, the after, you know?
Yeah, and then all of the messy
Uh,
gyrations
uh,
in the center.
and then the growth, which I really, really love to watch. And I can tell you that one of the things that probably the main thing I found why people don't achieve what they want is that they actually don't feel good pursuing their goal. They
Mm.
want their goal. I want to achieve a certain financial status. I want a relationship. I want a new career. I want to go to my trips. I want to feel better about myself also is a goal.
Yeah,
And
I want to be more fit and healthy
absolutely,
and yeah.
all of those are goals. But when you hear them talk about their goals, like listen to yourself talk about your goals to somebody, not what you want, but just talk about getting there.
Yeah,
And
the
you're going to see
plans.
the plans, what you're going to do, and you're going to see people will present more resistance towards their goal. Oh, it's hard, it's difficult. You have to get up in the morning. I have to go to the gym. Yeah, but I don't like going to the gym. Everybody's watching you. Like this inner dialogue kicks in that actually turns you off to
Mm.
pursuing the goal. Yes, you want the end result. But getting there, you have to deal with your limitations. You have to deal with those belief systems. You have to deal with how you see yourself. You have to deal with the voices of the past that are still conditioned in your mind. So all those challenges come up when we are pursuing our goals. So for me, the main reason I saw in my office that people don't struggle to pursue their goal is they're thinking of all the challenges they have to go through to get there.
Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that one because for myself, being more physically active is an important part of being healthy and aging gracefully. But I have a pretty significant exercise intolerance, which means what's no big deal to other people is very painful to me later on that day and the next day, and it doesn't really get better.
Mhm.
And so I have to give myself a little grace around the fact that I haven't achieved that goal in the way that I would like to.
Mhm. And you just said something that's very important. I need to give myself some grace. Another point that I think people sort of first one is that you got to learn to love the journey. You got to stop talking yourself out of being on the journey towards your goal. And the other thing related to what you just said is that you got to accept where you are.
Yeah.
You got to accept where you are, not because you're going to stay there. Some people says, yeah, but if I accept, then does it mean I won't change? It's the opposite. Because when you accept where you are, it's not that you accept the limitations, is that you have the clarity of where your starting point is, and you stop all that resistance that goes along with not accepting where you are. Because when you don't accept, I'm not talking about using a negative emotion to propel you forward. I'm talking about that many times when we talk ourselves out of a goal or don't feel, let's say, for example, traditional example of losing weight. So let's say a person criticizes themselves for being at the certain weight that they are, whether they want to gain or lose. So just think of it quickly. When you're criticizing yourself for where you're at, do you tend to be inspired to move forward?
No, you tend to want to curl up in a little ball
Yeah,
and have
exactly.
ice cream and binge Netflix.
And then you really feel sorry for yourself. And this is a normal behavior. But that's exactly it. If you don't accept where you are, and that means you're in that negative criticizing mode, from that energy, it's hard to move forward because a forward moving is something that's more inspired action. You want to take action that supports what you want. So that means I got to be thinking something like, okay, I'm at this weight and okay, I'm here now. What am I going to do about it? Okay, I want to take care of myself more. I want to show up at the gym. And all of a sudden, if you start talking about it and feeling this energy rise, that's the right thinking. That's the thinking that aligns you with what you want. And that energy rise is actually what's going to create the action steps you need towards the goal. But if you're
Exactly. That'll
thinking,
get you past that activation energy. We are up on our first break already.
too interesting.
We will unpack more of this when we come back from the break. What do you suggest as a thought exercise for the listeners over this break? What should we grab our pen and our paper and consider?
I would say think about something you're putting on your list this year that you was on your list last year, and be honest with yourself because that's really important. In the last year, did you love the idea of pursuing that goal, or you remember hearing all the resistance talk in your head towards that goal? Because if there's a reason why it's still on your list.
Yes, I love that. So spend some time around your repeat goals
Mhm.
and what the resistances are that are coming up around that. And hang with us. We'll be right back from the break and tell you what to do.
Oh, checked it out, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. Feel no fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I'm back with the amazing, wonderful Toni Rebic, true self psychologist extraordinaire. And before the break, we had asked the people to look at those repeating goals, the one that didn't get achieved last year that you're recommitting to, that you're putting back on your list, and to think about the resistances that have come up in your mind around that when you talk about that goal, when you've attempted to work towards or through that goal. So now that we have this list, how do we evaluate this list for resistances that can be easily flipped or overcome and resistances that maybe mean, you know what, maybe I should be thinking about a different goal. Maybe this isn't really the goal for me.
Well, if you're thinking about a certain goal, there's a chance that, of course, you have to, like I said before, sometimes you have to evaluate if it is that goal. But for the most part, I think people do want the goal that they're thinking about. But if you're thinking about what you want, because what you want, think about, okay, let me say it differently. Think about what you want. I'm going to ask you, Zofia, to think about something you want. Okay? I want everybody in your audience to think about what they want. Now, is what you want something that would bring you some joy, either to yourself or to the people around you?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about two different stages of my life because I had an earlier stage of my life where I had misidentified my value, my mother's values as being my values.
Okay.
And so I would have a pretty significant goal mismatch on a routine basis and couldn't figure out why I would get the thing, but I wasn't happy about getting the thing.
Mhm.
Or I wouldn't be motivated to really go out and pursue the goal that I had stated that I had. And I
Mhm. But
think
that,
identifying my values now, the
okay.
ones that are really mine,
Yeah.
not my mom's,
Yes.
has helped that problem pretty
Yeah.
significantly.
But what I'm trying to say, what I'm asking is that think of something you want, because if you want it, it means you don't have it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
You want something, you don't have it. So if you think of something you want, that thing you want, are you thinking about it and you want it because it would bring more value to you? It's a solution to your problems. Is it a positive in nature?
Yeah. I think it is kind of all of those.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So for you to match the energy of what you want, you got to feel that positive. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are not feeling good about pursuing the very thing that would bring you some happiness, joy, solution to your problems, solution to some problems to the people around you, then you're not in the energy of receiving what it is you want or moving towards what it is you want. If you're thinking in resistant terms towards what you want, that resistance, which is, let's think of it in terms of charges, is a negative charge, and what you want is a positive charge. They're repelling each other. So most people don't realize that the reason you don't have what you want is that the way you are thinking about it doesn't align with it. And that's what alignment is. You have to be excited about what is coming, what you want, like what would happen if you had it? How would your life be? And then when you're thinking about it, you're kind of feeling into the energy of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Think-
makes
think-
sense. And I think probably even the bigger thing for me around it is that I need to feel positive towards the process of going there, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
if we don't realize it, because we're so focused on all the reasons we don't get it,
Mm,
that we become unaware that that's the reason you're not getting it. You're not
mhm.
think most of what we want is achievable. Like nobody's
Yeah.
thinking of like nobody putting on 2026 going to Mars, right? So most
Well,
of what we want
Elon Musk, but the rest of the world.
I'm talking about definitely the general public. So most of what you want is doable, is achievable. Other people have done it, so why not you?
Yeah.
And a big difference is not resources, although it helps to have resources, but it's definitely the mindset because the mindsets will allow you those resources.
Yeah,
So if
and
you're
that's what
not,
I was going to say because resourcefulness a lot of times is more about how you approach the problem than whether you have the resource when you're starting from the gate. Because I
it,
think one of the mind traps we get into is the idea that the resources to make this happen have to be mine. I have to like own it, own all of what's required to get us there. And a lot of times that's a very limiting mindset to be in
exactly, exactly.
because there are people who have the resources you need who can be incentivized to provide them for what it is that you need. You don't have to own it. You just have to have some control over it.
So
Yeah.
most people don't realize that people who achieve what they want, when they achieve it, it looks easy, right?
Yes.
But most people, I remember Kobe Bryant saying that, I think it was Kobe Bryant, who said, people think that me playing this, being a basketball player is because I make it look easy. They don't see all the work that went into it. But all that work, you have to love to play the game to be in the game. Do you see what I'm
At
saying?
that
So,
level, absolutely. Yeah.
and at anything you want. So if you're thinking, I don't have the resources, and this is what I mean, you talk yourself out of it. And people
Yes.
don't realize they talk themselves out of the very thing they want, but then they're hurting because the desire for what you want is not going away. And
Right.
that's important to understand too. If you're still thinking this year of what you wanted last year and the year before, it just hasn't been done yet, that desire is not going away. That desire is really calling to you. It's something you want, but you're not aligned with it. You're not thinking of having it. You're thinking of all the reasons why you don't have it, including calling yourself lazy or say, I don't know what to do, or I don't know where to start. It's too hard. I'm busy. I have kids. I can't wake up that early in the morning. Whatever the reason is. And by the way, some of it could be valid. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
saying some of that is not valid. But what I'm saying is that that's the thought that stops you from, and the habit that stops you from actually getting the very thing you want that will make everything easier for you.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of what was on your list
Mhm.
can be cleared with proper resourcefulness. That doesn't invalidate it, but there may be an extra step that has to happen that allows you more flexibility around other responsibilities or your bandwidth as far as energy goes, that sort of thing.
But resources will not come knocking on your door.
No, they don't just show up. It's
They
like
don't just
time.
show up,
You don't
you know?
just suddenly find time. You actually have to
Exactly.
make time.
So, But resources answers the call of somebody who's searching, so
Yes.
if you do get up and you do start the process and you start that journey, well, on that journey there, you're going to meet people with the resources. You're going to meet people who can answer your questions. And as that evolves, that belief, like we were talking earlier on, the belief that what you want can happen increases. And now you start seeing it more and more, as in before with the old belief of limitation, you couldn't see it. So this
Mhm.
is the coming back to this idea that you always see what you believe, but the more you're taking some inspired action, just by trusting yourself, just by aligning more with who you are, and the fact that you just start the process of thinking your way there, you start to attract different situations, people, circumstances that's going to show up all of a sudden. Oh, where is this answer that I've been looking for? All of a sudden, this person was giving me the answer. And you're like, yeah, I've been looking for this kind of answer. Oh, I didn't know this. And then all of a sudden you're feeling good about it. So it energizes you. And that energizing rising is turning into a new belief system, which, by the way, I'm going to mention to your audience, which, because I hear this a lot. People are going to say, yeah, but I don't believe it, Toni, but I don't believe it. Well, your beliefs are not fixed realities. They are just a form of reality, something you've been telling yourself so long that now that's what you see
Yeah.
in your environment. That's really the way it is. So if we understand that beliefs are not fixed realities, and I have to stop repeating the very thing that I'm seeing in around me, and I just start to imagine something different. This is where accepting where you are also comes in. If you accept that I do have those limiting beliefs, okay, I have, like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I just know they're there.
Yeah.
What now? What now?
I
What the
I
minute you
find
accept it, you stop fighting with it.
yeah, I find it just acknowledging it's like, oh,
Yeah,
look, there you are again.
it
Starts to
disempowers it.
create a little wedge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It disempowers that inner dialogue of arguing with that belief. And the minute you accept it, the more you're disengaged from it and
Yeah.
you're in the present moment. And it's from here that you can have, okay, what now? And you can have that higher feeling thought come to you. And that new thought, which is like a new seed, and that seed, it's going to attract another thought. It's going to, then another thought. And now
Yeah.
you're building momentum
And you can
upward.
deliberately water that seed as opposed to
Absolutely.
arguing with that old belief. You can say, okay, I'm shifting a step away from that. I think a lot of people want to go to the diametrically opposed belief that nobody wants to be with me, to everybody wants to be around me. I think it's hard to make that
It's
180
hard to make
degree
that jump.
shift.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
And that's
if you can do it in steps, it's easier to get there.
you said something interesting. The reason, and that's the thing, so it's not only what you believe, but what you believe, if it's negative, is also going to push away beliefs that could be positive.
Right.
The idea to understand is that just like anything, you want to learn a musical instrument, it takes practice across time. You
Yeah.
want to lose some weight or gain some weight, it takes practice across time. Thinking also takes practice across time. To have a new thought pattern, and you have to gently soothe the old one while building a new one. And that takes practice across time. And that's important to understand, because you can have this, everybody's looking for this aha moment to transform them.
Yeah, we
Well,
want this TikTok change.
it's few and far in between, by the way. Not that it doesn't happen, but you're not owning it. When you're owning how things work, if you understand how things work, then you can make them work for you, right?
Yeah. And the instantaneous change, I think while we say we would like that, what it takes to make that happen is usually pretty traumatic and dramatic. And the practice across time starts to sound pretty good.
And it's fun. And that's also the journey of changing your mindset has to also be very interesting. And if you think it's hard, that thought stops you from trying.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas it's actually not that hard, it's just a matter of practice.
Knowing what to do and then changing it, which is bringing me back to another point. Changing your mindset is the first step to achieving, to getting into that zone of achieving more of what you want. Because right now, the reason you don't have it, you're not aligned with it. I don't know how you're not aligned with it. You're just not aligned with it. And you have limitations. You believe in these limitations that are stopping you there. So that means that the way you're thinking, perceiving yourself and the objective is not supportive to
Yeah.
the objective. So that means we got to pull back and work on aligning with ourselves to have more alignment with what we want. So that in itself is the first goal. I always tell people the first goal of achieving a goal is to feel good about yourself in the pursuit of what you want. If you
Yes.
achieve that, then achieving what you want is fun. Even that you didn't reach the goal yet, but just showing up feels good. Like you feel proud of yourself. You feel like you're accomplishing things, you're getting more done. And then the buildup of that, you start seeing some results here and there, and that is so encouraging to show you that you're on path. You're getting to where you need to go.
Yeah, I like that. And it adds some credence to the startup Broseph environment that was in San Jose, where they would have ping pong tables and whatever at the office, right? Come on in, let's have fun. We're going to build some stuff. Let's hang, it'll be great. Yeah, and so you can engineer some of that for yourself. It may not literally take a ping pong table to
Mhm.
make that happen. So we are up on our second break already. What should be our thought exercise over this break?
Evaluate your level of acceptance about where you are. And if you are in resistance, I don't like it. I don't like feeling like this. I don't like the way I look. I don't like it. I don't like it. You'll have a hard time changing. You're going to fight with yourself to create the change. But the more you're just, practice during this break, recentering and just say, you know what? I'm here. I created being here.
It is
Let me
what it
accept
is.
it is
Yep.
what it is. And just feel you have to calm that nervous system down. The idea is to just control energy. It's not negative anymore. The more you accept it, the more energy rises actually, so that then it becomes easier to move forward. So that would be a good practice.
Okay, sounds good. So take your pen, take your piece of paper, and look at your level of acceptance. Examine your level of acceptance, and maybe take a moment to practice not fighting with where you're at. And hang with
Yep.
us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, shout it loud, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. From no fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I'm back with the amazing, wonderful Toni Rebic. So, over the break, she asked us to take some time and look at where we're at. What's our level of acceptance around our current state? Are we resisting it? Are we beating ourselves up about it? And maybe practice for a moment going, you know what, this is just neutral information, and trying on that stance for a moment. So, now that we've done this, I know a lot of the resistance for myself in the past, and I don't think I'm alone in this, is around this, you know what, I've kind of reached farther than my belief system says I should reach, and I'm waiting for someone to realize that kind of self-doubt, imposter syndrome sort of situation.
Mhm.
How do we start to pick that apart?
Imposter syndrome. So, imposter syndrome will happen when you achieve something you don't feel you deserve, or
Mm-hmm.
and you're afraid that other people one day will discover that you shouldn't be there,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
That's usually what it is. Many people who have imposter syndrome can start self-sabotaging, by the way, because of that. You start to behave the way you feel like the imposter in you
Would
is
behave, yes.
would behave, right? And so that for me is the alignment with self. You see, what I find interesting, and this is so important, your first goal has to be liking, caring, and knowing yourself. It's something we hear, and it's not pop psychology, it's everything.
Yeah.
Everyone who ever, and I've worked with thousands of individual over my career, 21 years now, starting 21. By the way, actually on the day this airs, I'm starting year
Oh,
22. Yep.
congratulations.
Yeah. The 5th of January is my day. And
So we're
this,
trying
every,
to like ourselves and
Mhm.
I know this can be really challenging because for myself at least, I have this exercise where I'll like send love to people I like, and then I'll send love to people I'm kind of neutral about, and then I'll send
Mhm.
love to people that I don't like. And then once I've achieved all that, I will like turn that back towards myself, and that's where it tends to go whoop.
So I appreciate that example because you can care and send light because in your core, you're a caring person. So that's
Yeah,
actually what makes you do that. You are a caring person. So people can feel good being good to others, but that doesn't mean you feel good about yourself.
right.
And everything stems from yourself. When people say you have to love yourself to love others, no, you don't. Mothers do it
Yeah,
all the time. You
exactly.
know, love their children, love their family, doesn't speak highly of themselves. So, what's important, because when you're loving another person or caring about another person, you are being centered, actually. There's a part of yourself that's being active. You know you're a caring person, so you're able to care for another. When it comes to you, all those conditionings of self-criticism kicks in. You're not criticizing that other person, but you're good at criticizing yourself.
Yeah,
So,
and been trained to criticize myself as though it is a helpful tool to make me a better
and it's
person.
not. Some
Yeah,
people tell me, I need that to boost me forward. That works at the beginning until you're worn down.
yeah,
It's like, this is what burnout is. You can tolerate, 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 and then as you're tolerating, you're burning out. And I can see that in my clients by the time they come to see me. They've been doing it for a while. They've been mistreating themselves for a while. And think of it logically. If you don't care about yourself and care, I'm not saying, like people say, do some self-care and they confuse that with self-pampering. Self-care means I care about me. I care about how I eat, how I talk to myself, how I feel, how I treat myself, how I allow others to treat me. That's what real self-care is. So, what you're looking for a lot in these goals, by the way, is to feel good about yourself, right?
hmm,
Not just what the solution that this will bring. $1 million may bring you some
yeah.
solutions to your
Well, and
dad.
a lot of times these goals are solutions dressed up
Yeah, they're
as a
stress
goal.
relievers,
Yeah,
trying to relieve stress or to feel better. Like weight loss is often to feel better about yourself. It needs to be the opposite. When I feel better about myself without changing conditions, I'm not attached to that condition. And therefore, I don't hear that negative voice that I'm not achieving something. And I'm actually freer to move where I want because it's very hard to achieve a goal. It's very hard to believe in a goal or to achieve a goal if you don't believe or like yourself.
right.
There
And
could
if
be
you're
a
an emotional
correlation.
eater who has a dieting goal and you're beating up on yourself, of
Mhm.
course you're going to end up on the sofa with a bag of chips or a pint of ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah, this idea that it's not good enough. Because I'm sure
Yeah,
some of your listeners are going to the gym, for example, if that's one of their goals. But if you can't be satisfied along the way, that's where people often get discouraged. You
hmm,
don't get discouraged not reaching there, you get discouraged listening to yourself as you're reaching
yeah.
there. And I see that a lot in my clients that, and I think that most of the time people don't realize you have to enjoy the process and you have to like yourself in that process.
Yeah. And I'm one of these, I like to be able to see the progress and
Mhm.
check off boxes and that kind of thing as I go along. So with something that's like long arc, like reforming my body or taking off a certain amount of weight or whatever it is, I need to have smaller measures of success that
Mhm.
are affirming as I go along.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's just no hope for the larger project because you
Yeah.
don't see that increase in muscle mass for weeks, really. You don't see that shift in body composition overnight.
Which makes me think of something else when it comes to goal getting, is when I'm talking about enjoying the process. Don't show up for the muscle. Show
Mm.
up because you enjoy the feeling of taking care of yourself. Show up because you made a promise to yourself and you're keeping it. Show up because so many people, when they say, for example, let's say the idea of a gym, after the gym, they're so proud because this morning I didn't feel like it, but I went anyways, and I feel so good afterwards that I did. Well, you didn't gain muscle. You're just proud that you showed up. And
Yeah.
by the way, the number one reason that people struggle to reach their goals, or if they start a business to do well, because many businesses close within a couple of years of opening, the number one reason is that they don't show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
showing
some
up
of that
for the
is
sake of showing up has to
measuring
be.
activity goals as opposed to target goals, right? Because you can't control whether this particular customer would
Mhm.
buy. You can control how many calls you choose to make. You can
Yeah.
control how many days you show up and do your marketing. Yeah.
And showing up is, it leads to a lot of rewards. Now, I know some of your listeners says, but I do show up. Something else is in the way, some kind of resistance is in the way, maybe the way you're showing up, maybe the attitude when you show up, maybe, there's something else that's going on. But as long as you show up, you increase the probability even of attaining what it is you want. Because to attain what you want, everything you want, you got to show up consistently over time. It's not a one-time thing. It's showing up consistently over time until there's more and more yeses along the way, or more and more feedback that resources, meeting the right people is actually showing you you're on that path. But you have to enjoy being on that path and not criticizing yourself or the way you're on that path if it's necessary to take a certain one.
I like that. I like
Mhm.
that. So EQ was a big thing a few years ago, probably a decade now. I'm showing my age. Emotional quotient. What
Mhm.
role does emotional intelligence play in being a good leader and leading your company, leading your team, leading your family, whatever your leadership role is right now?
Well, as a psychologist, or even before I was a psychologist, been in personal development 35 years. Emotion is everything. We just have a really misguided understanding of what emotions are and how they serve us. Like I mentioned before, for example, when you are not feeling good about something, that doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means your thoughts are not supporting you. That's really bottom line. That's what it means. And reread that, write it down, what I just said, and reread it, because that's the truth of the matter. And most people react negatively to feeling negative. And
Mm,
that's what slows them down instead of listening to the negative feeling and then responding to it. The same way, if your child comes up to you and they're crying, you're not going to start feeling being bad in attitude towards a child who is crying. You're going to say, well, honey, what's going on? What do you
yeah, what
need? What can I do?
happened?
What
Yeah.
happened? You
Find
know?
out more.
Yeah, you're not going to respond negatively to the negative. You're going to respond with care and interest to see, why are you crying? Why are you feeling bad, so that I can help you? So your negative emotions are acting toward for you the same way. They're telling you you don't feel good because something you're thinking about or you're doing is not supporting you. And you just have to listen to ask why. And coming back to, in terms of enjoying the process of the goal, your emotions, if you're feeling good in the process towards what you want, that means that you're on path. You're doing what is working for you. So you're getting the feedback. What I'm trying to get is that the feedback is emotional.
Yeah.
You know, if you're feeling good doing something, chances are it's working for you. If you're feeling bad doing something, chances are you need to adjust somewhere
I
there.
love that because taking it back to my exercise
Mhm.
intolerance example, I have to work into my exercise very slowly, very deliberately, so it doesn't completely wipe me out. And
Mhm.
like literally, I'll increase intensity or duration by a minute.
Mhm.
And my husband is just like, are you kidding me? I'm like, this is what works for me. You can jump to 20 minutes. It will take me 20 days, but I will get to 20 minutes and I will be able to get there because I'm not going to feel like I was hit by a Mack truck.
And because you're being consistent, you're
Yeah.
accepting, we've talked about before, you're accepting your situation and you're adjusting incrementally, and you're consistent. You said, well, in 20 days, I'm going to, so I'm showing up for the next 20 days. And by then, I'm going to see improvement by then. So that's what's important to understand, the consistency and the acceptance
Yeah, I
in what
love
you
that.
just
So we're down to our last couple of minutes, and I
said.
guess I will take the opportunity at this point to say that Toni's got some amazing programs, and you will find
Mhm.
links to all of that below, how to get a hold of her, the programs that are coming up. She's got a boot camp that will be starting next week that I would encourage you to check out because it's free and it
Yes,
will give
very
you an
nice.
it will give you an opportunity to interface with her work and see the difference that it makes in your life. And if you decide to continue with her, there is a discount available as well. So it's definitely worth checking the show notes. What exactly is happening at that boot camp?
So it's a 3-day for an hour each, and there's a VIP if people want to join for the extra talk after. And this is based on, it's called Align to Manifest, the idea of aligning to manifest. So we started a little bit to talk in this conversation about what's important to do to align and the importance of aligning to manifest. But I've been doing this class since the Align and Power. It's the old Stand in Your Power class. I started in 2009. This one, I think, probably around 2000, maybe 12. So I've been doing it, and every time I redo it, it's always improving because I'm also evolving. And the reason why I started this class initially was exactly what I talked about. I constantly heard my clients when they would talk about their objectives and what they want, it was just so negative. And I can just see how you're going to get to where you want to go, not being happy.
Yeah.
And you can know this, I can say this, and you can know this now, but change is a process. You have to do it across time. You have to know consistently across time. Why? Because we're built of neural networks. We're built from our nervous system. We act from our nervous system. So you have to decondition the nervous system and then gradually retrain it to support who you are and then what you want. So the Align and Power class, which I just finished, and it's going to be given again in 2026, is more about aligning your thoughts with who you are. And the Align to Manifest, which is this
The boot
bootcamp,
camp.
is about having the healthy thought habits that bring you to your alignment. How we're going to train our focus, for example. We're going to train, that means you have to train to avoid distractions. We're going to learn how to see yourself as the person who needs to accomplish that goal and then become gradually that person, right? So energetically, we're moving towards becoming that person. So it's an exercise, it's a long exercise built into small pieces of exercises that gradually gets you into that place that you need so that taking of action, it's not just action, because action alone doesn't mean you get there, but you're going to feel this inspired action.
Yeah.
And then feels this new momentum. It's like this wheel. When you're starting the wheel, it feels a little bit tough, but then
Yeah.
the more you're oiling it and you're moving it, all of a sudden it starts to pick up speed and this momentum, and you start going. And all of a sudden you're attracting more and more, like I said, the right people, the resources, the connections you need. And so that increases the probability of you achieving more of what you want.
I
So
love that.
it's
I
it's
love that. So it's like the basic toolkit for what you need
yeah.
to be able to really get that wheel and that momentum going to move you towards the goals that you are authentically aligned with.
And it's putting it into practice because knowledge doesn't change you.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've learned. Knowledge is great. Applied knowledge is power. Thank you so much for joining us today, Toni. It's been
Well,
a real pleasure.
I
And
appreciate you. Thank you.
yes, and thank you, listeners, for joining us here today. I know you've got many ways you could have invested the last 48 minutes, and I am pleased and honored that you've chose to spend your time here with us and to invest in yourself to move yourself forward. And I would love to hear from you. Drop a note in the comments if you're on YouTube, or send me a quick note to Zofia at stemandstilettos.com. Let me know what you liked, what you hated, topics you'd like to see me cover, other guests you'd like to see me bring on, or just let me know where you're at. If you need an ear, I'm here. And until next week, go out be bold, be beautiful, and be authentically you.